Hi, I'm Tom Carpenter, MAS. I'm the Senior Director of Sales of Rhombus Canvas Bags located in Irving, Texas. The title of this education session is It's Not Just a Bag. What we want to provide you with today is some general information on tote bags in the promotional products marketplace, their position, the various price points and substrates available for you to sell, the reason why there is a popularity of bags from your client's perspective, some value-added ideas that you can use in upselling your customer to bags in their next campaign. Also, we're going to share with you some considerations you need to be aware of in today's marketplace when selling bags to your customers, and we'll do a general review of some of the typical type campaigns where promotional bags have been a consideration and used. So let's start off with when you call on your clients, there's a question that's there, whether they vocalize it or not. When you present a particular product or product category to your customer, there is that question of why should I consider this? Why should I consider this tumbler? Why should I consider this writing instrument? Why should I consider this bag? And so one of the reasons why that it's important that your client understand that answer why is because they want to give their customers, their employees, their uh, constituents something that they want to receive. In the promotional products marketplace, bags are currently the #3 most popular promotional product in the promotional products marketplace, second only to wearables and writing instruments. And there's some reasons for that, but the most important reason why bags tend to be the most desirable item is because they are useful and reusable. So that is something that people are very much interested in, whether they're using them to store items, whether they're using them to carry their lunch to work, whether they're using them to go to the grocery store or the gym or on travel. There's a lot of varied uses for bags. Bags are also an item, one of the few promotional products items that it can safely be said that are used on a daily basis. This is something that's very important when you're considering some of the important factors in promotional advertising and what your customer is trying to achieve. There's three basic areas that they're looking for in value of a promotional product item: the product's reach, its frequency of exposure of the brand message, and the retention of that product by the target audience. Bags actually fit very nicely into all three of those categories, and each of those three areas, bags actually help feed off of each other. When you're talking about the reach of an item, from the time a bag is given to someone at a trade show, they're a walking billboard throughout that trade show of that particular brand. Then when they get home and they take it to work the next day with their lunch, or whether they throw a couple of bottles of water and a towel in it and take it to the gym, or whether they tuck it under the seat in the car and use it at the grocery store the next time they're there, they take it back out. They get back out in the public and they're a walking billboard again for that. So the reach of the product goes far beyond just the recipient in the first place. It goes to everyone around them and in a bigger traditional imprint area than most other promotional products. Even if they're carrying an ink pen in the pocket, it's hard to see that imprint. If they're wearing a t-shirt or if they're wearing a logo branded wearable, left chest is typical. Again, not a huge imprint area, but a tote bag is a large area, imprint area, and a lot of exposure. When you talk about the frequency of exposure, we mentioned the fact that tote bags tend to be a daily use item. So this is something that even a wearable item, they may keep it and wear it repeatedly. They probably don't wear that same shirt every day. They will use the same tote bag every day. So you're talking about in writing instruments now, the competition in digital information. Ink pens are not that daily use item they were at one time. Or if they are, they're limited. I tend to say they tend to have a desk leash on them, or they're in the glove box for when you need a pen, or in the junk drawer for when you have to write that one check you write a month instead of using your debit card. But there's a more limited frequency of exposure than with a tote bag that's used on a daily basis. It actually has a utilitarian use. As far as the retention of bags in the promotional products marketplace, tote bags given to the original recipient tend to have a retention rate of between 7 months to a year. That after that they tend to be either repurposed or regifted, given to someone else. So it doesn't mean that's the end of the life of the item. It just means that the retention rate of the initial recipient is in that 7 to 10 month range. The impressions that are achieved in that 7 to 10 month window are approximately, based on research, approximately 5,700 impressions for that one tote bag to that one recipient. So if you want to break that down into cost, you're looking, say you take a $5 tote bag, you're at less than 1/10 of 1 cent per impression. If you want to double that 5 to a $10 bag, you're at 1.7 to 2/10 of 1%, or of 1 cent per impression. And if you want to go and get real crazy and start giving away $20 tote bags, then you're still at less than 4/10 of 1 cent per cost per impression. So if the affordability of tote bags is extremely high. When you consider it against those three areas: the reach of the item, the frequency of exposure, and the retention rate that you're dealing with on bags, it's an extremely important area. There's also some other values in bags in advertising: is the brand representation. Bags have an unspoken message of their sustainability. They have a message of their reuse capabilities. And in most cases on different substrates, you're talking about either recyclable or sustainable materials. So when you're looking at that, then you have to look at the different various substrates that are available and at what price points on bags. When you're talking about lightweight plastics, one-time use bags, or paper, you're down in a price point in the pennies per bag. You're talking about higher quantities, obviously, in your sale price points. But you're talking about typically the plastic bags can be recycled. I'm not saying they are, but they can be paper bags as well. Then your next step up is in your lighter deniers and nylons and in your non-woven substrates. When you're talking about those particular bags, you're getting starting in that $1.50 sale price point range up to maybe $6, depending on the weight of the material, the denier of the nylon, the weight of the non-woven materials, the features to the particular bag, and the decoration methods needed in achieving the branding for that particular category. From there, your next step up is that you're looking at heavier deniers and nylon. You're also looking at cotton and cotton canvas. Now, this particular area tends to have a very heavy message toward sustainability and recyclability. There's probably not a product in this industry more recyclable than cotton and cotton canvas. So as far as the nylon products, I'm sure there's some plastic recycle options as far as that goes. I don't think it's something we traditionally look at as a recyclable item, but just in the perception of it, just the reuse of those products tends to last longer than obviously the one-use bags and some of the lighter weight materials. So the reuse rate offers to it sustainability. The fibers in cotton and canvas are a agricultural product, again, sustainable. So there's a lot of message behind that. A lot of people that are selling brands like that support, that I gave you a nice cotton canvas bag. It is a sustainable item. It is a recyclable item. It's also a reuse item, so you're not going to use a bunch of plastic bags. So it really does help support their brand, and in a lot of cases, the message that they want their brand to represent. Now that's in that category, you're looking in cotton and canvas, you're probably starting somewhere in that $2.50 range. And you could go as high as $150, $200 on canvas bags. Again, that's going to depend on bag size. It's going to depend on appointments, whether there's leather trims or heavy zippers, brass, what kind of handles it has, the different features, the decorating methods necessary to decorate that particular bag. But they can hit that higher end. But you start down in your local 4-ounce typical canvas cotton tote, you're going to be in that $2.50 range. So that's your price points and considerations in that substrate. Then there is also heavier vinyls, textured vinyls, and you get into leathers. And in those, you're going to start your price points are going to be in that 30 to 50 starting point, and they may run as high as $400 or $500 a bag. And that's going to be more of an exclusive item for a very narrow target for your clients. As far as their recyclability, sustainability, I'll leave that to you to decide on how that works. But they are for a different marketplace, and they do have a different message that needs to be conveyed and the perceived value at that price point. So that kind of covers for you some of the different substrates. The nice thing about that is that from pennies a bag to the highest end, you have an entire category of items that are useful, that are reusable, that actually fit within a very solid message behind the message of branding for your client. So you have a lot of options to offer them on something the customer wants to receive. It's the third most popular item in promotional products that they want to get. So it's a matter of finding the right item and the right substrate at the right price point, and you have so many different options to consider in doing that. One of the other benefits to tote bags, when we talk about some of the value-added type things, um, we've talked about the recyclability, the reusability, the usability of the item. There's also even some considerations to consider when you're talking about totes. They actually can reflect the lifestyle of their target audience. If they're if they're athletically minded and their target audience is in athletics, then an athletic bag might be a good fit. If their target audience is uh, highly educated, better paid executives, female executives in the workplace, then a fashion bag might be more of a consideration for that target. If it's a travel bag, if you're targeting a market that tends to have people that travel often, a travel bag, a duffel bag, all these things, again, you have so many different options and value add up. But there's also some benefits too. And the uses of promotional products may be beyond the traditional type um, uses. And I'll cover some of those when we get into more of the campaigns of them. But first, I want to go over some of the considerations you need to keep in mind in selling bags in today's promotional marketplace. Uh, One of the things that you need to make sure is that you're working with a reputable supplier who has a solid supply chain channel. I'm not going to labor the point of what everybody's been going through in the supply chain, but the most effective suppliers are those that have found a usable workaround to some of the challenges without compromising the quality and safety of the products that they offer. So make sure you're working with a reputable supplier that you trust. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Do you have compliance information? Can you provide me with samples? Can I look at the quality of the material? Can you guarantee the weight of this nylon or of this canvas or of this non-woven material? And how do you support that information? All these are viable questions that you have every right and should ask of a vendor that provides you with product. The second thing you want to be careful about is because of the delay in a lot of the supply chain, be very cautious about inventory that has been stagnant. And by that, I mean sitting in a container on the ocean for the last few months, especially when you're talking about bags, whether they're lightweight canvas, whether they're a denier nylon, a heavier canvas, leathers. Those items in a salt, water, air environment are extremely susceptible to mold and mildew and other water related damages. So make sure that your uh, product is quality checked, that there are quality assurances, that you're not getting inventory that has been compromised in its delay in getting to the manufacturer. In most cases, I can't imagine you would run into that, but buyer beware. Always make sure and ask and check your information with your particular vendors. Also, become knowledgeable about some recent trends in products coming from overseas. You probably have heard about this no less than a few hundred times. Anytime you turn the news on to any news channel, pick your source, and it's going to say the same thing: is that there are challenges right now, and that they deal mostly with social responsibilities. There's actually, I've heard in several instances, boycotts against products made with Chinese cotton, especially Chinese cotton that originates from anywhere in the northern regions of China due to some human rights issues. So make sure, just not just that one, but any other issues on knowing where the product comes from. And if there are any concerns within that about ethical manufacturing, ask for compliance documentations. There's a great international organization that has Omega compliance that's guaranteed against child labor and equal treatment of women in the workplace. There's all kinds of ways that you can find out and make sure that the products that you're sourcing from your supplier partner uh, carry those kind of designations and have been manufactured responsibly. So don't be afraid to ask those questions. Ask for that safety documentation every time. So finally, as we kind of wrap this up, what are some of the traditional promotional marketing? I think if I were to ask you guys to raise your hands and tell me, that most of you would say trade shows. They want trade shows. Absolutely, that is still probably one of the ones most recognized within the promotional products industry. And trade shows are coming back, and trade show traffic with tote bags has increased dramatically. But there's also areas of safety recognition in the workplace where the safety required materials. And this goes back during the pandemic, it was masks and hand sanitizers. In certain environments, it's face shields and it's earmuffs and it's hard hats. But all those things, a lot of times, can be very effectively disseminated, and they can encourage the use of them by presenting them in tote bags. So keep the idea of the tote bag being the presentation of an entire package of ideas. That also goes along with gifting, and I'll get to that in a minute. But keep in mind that bags, like even some of the higher end totes that you might see behind me, the duffel bags, these are high quality retail level items that are highly uh, regarded and highly desirable during giving season as employee retention items, safety recognition pieces, employee recruitment and retention, customer recruitment and retention. These items, because of their desire, the people's desire to get these, you're looking at a product that can very viably offer them the return on the investment that they're looking for. Now, the last thing is I mentioned earlier about packaging things together. Bags are an exceptional solution in today's supply chain struggles. You can take a tote bag as long as you know you're getting it from a supplier that can deliver. And trust me, there are suppliers out there that we can deliver for you. Okay, on those, once you get that tote bag, if you're having to source items that aren't traditionally promotional items, retail items, food products, or anything else, what better way to give it to them than in a beautiful, high quality, safe tote bag that you know that they'll keep and use for the future? That's a great upsell idea to your customers to say, hey, I know we're having trouble, but let's get a nice tote bag to put this stuff in. And it's going to represent your brand, and it's going to go far beyond after the use of the food product or the more temporary retail type products that might be inside the bag. So that right there is a summary of what we offer. We've kind of covered the whys of tote bags, the hows, the costs, some value added ideas, some considerations you need to be aware of, and the traditional markets that tote bags have been used in the promotional products industry. If you need more information, there are plenty industry veterans and suppliers that are willing to offer you ideas. Give them a call, and we'd be glad to help you to help build your business in any way we can. I appreciate your time, and I hope you're having a great show.